All right, let's see how visualization can help us both as a reader and a writer. Uh, when you visualize, you take something that's not an image and you turn it into one. Usually, this is a mental process. Um, it comes with surprising benefits. Let's see some examples. You see this in meditation a lot. There's a lot of these kind of meditation guides will tell you to close your eyes and actually you're in your crappy office, but close your eyes and imagine the birds and the trees and the sun. And there's all these benefits that come with this practice. There's psychological ones. It increases focus and it decreases stress and anxiety. But there are physical ones that boosts your immune system, alleviates chronic pain. There's even a study that says that if you visualize going to the gym, your muscle mass increases by about 13% or something like that. It's crazy. If you actually go to the gym, it's like 30%. So, this mind over matter thing is going on here. Um, you know, Perhaps not surprisingly, visualization is also common in athletics. I guess this was popularized by the Russian Olympians. The idea is that you just kind of picture yourself, at the big event, right? You kind of going through the motions. Here's a quote from Michael Phelps, the swimmer, his coach. He mentally rehearses for 2 hours a day in the pool. He sees himself winning. He smells the air, tastes the water, hears the sounds, sees the clock. The idea is that if you kind of keep going through this stuff, you create this sort of familiarity in your mind, and then when the big event actually does come, you're not as nervous. So with all these kind of benefits, you can imagine that it helps us as readers too. And this is really just goes back to what Pinker is saying about how as primates, really we process meaning through visuals. Dogs use smell a lot more, right? That's dog nature. Human nature is to try to visualize stuff. And in reading, if we just try to say form a mental picture as we read, well, lots of studies have shown that there are benefits here too. We can enjoy our reading more. We can understand readings better. We can remember more about the readings, and even we come out of it with more vocabulary. All these benefits, right? And so, not surprisingly, we tell elementary school readers to visualize as they read. Hey, kids. And sometimes we even do this for adult readers too, right? Here's like it looks like your typical PowerPoint slide. And the problem, though, is what happens when you get a passage like this, right? Remember this from the good writing module you did at the beginning of this class. This is a passage that is kind of an extreme example of what you sometimes come across in academia. But you know, how can you visualize this? Well, you really you can't, right? I mean, I don't know. There's really nothing to see here. This is the problem we see when we get to academia is that academic texts they're not about knights and fairies or cats and cactuses so much as tough abstract subjects like hegemony or something, right? Or I don't know, international relations or whatever Judith Butler is talking about in this passage. How do you visualize the economy, right? Um, and this is a big reason that most people don't like reading academic texts, is there's little to nothing to visualize. I mean, do you ever feel like this when you're trying to read an academic text? Like you just don't know what you're really reading, as opposed to the reading experience that this person's having. This also looks like a PSA about drug use, but whatever. The point here is that we spend all this time talking about visualization like it's a reading skill, like that. But really, I think when we're thinking about academia, we might want to think of this like a writing skill. It's something that writers need to help readers picture what they're talking about. And that's where we can go back to this example from Isabel Wilkerson. This great passage here. Um, she's talking about really abstract stuff. She's talking about things like, you know, uh, denial of economic opportunities. All right, but she frames this in a concrete way, something that you can imagine. There's this person, and she's learned to type, and she wants to get a job, but she can't where she is. That's more relatable, right? Instead of like oppression or threats of violence, which is abstract, you get this kind of haunting, chilling image of someone hanging from an oak tree. Uh, Instead of talking about migration, that's pretty abstract. We're asked to picture someone who's kind of standing at the edge of a body of water, sort of looking towards the horizon and thinking about what lies beyond That's something that we can see and remember. And for stuff that is hard to kind of put with a concrete example, like a caste system, then she gives you a visual metaphor, like you know hard unyielding red Georgia clay. All right. Um, these are the skills of a talented writer. She's not an academic. She's really a journalist. She writes really for a living rather than say researching political science like is happening here. But I really there are some people in academia who really do both of these things well. They understand their subject matter. They write very well, and a good example of this is Harari, the author of *Sapiens*. This is a guy who was like a college professor, just kind of lecturing in classrooms, and but really has a knack for uh, you know helping people visualize his ideas, and really I think partly because of his ability to do this, he's gone from being just another college professor to this kind of global superstar. He goes and he speaks at conferences, and his speaking slot will be between, say, the president of France and the prime minister of Germany, and he's, he goes and he has lunch with all these kind of corporate bigwigs now because really people are enthralled by his ideas. But, before they could become enthralled by his ideas, they had to understand him. They had to kind of see what he was talking about. And next we'll look at one of his passages and see some of the ways that he helps readers visualize his ideas.